Hey guys, welcome back to Mini Urban Farm. My name is Veronica and today I'm planting out a whole bunch of things in the garden, or what's going to be our garden. Alright, so we are working on this hedgerow, as you can see behind me, of pineapple guava. We have some in the ground, but we still have a few more to plant to complete the hedgerow. We have a garden arch here that we already assembled, and we'll be planting out some roses on this arch, as well as 2 more arches. We have some other things that we're going to be planting, some edible things to be planting on those arches. And then I have my greenhouse over there, and I will be planting out the space around the greenhouse and in front of the greenhouse around the spigot that we just upgraded. So today's going to be a lot of fun. Let's go.
Welcome to Mini Urban Farm, a channel about growing and raising food in the suburbs. If that's your thing, don't forget to subscribe and check out my course on growing tons of organic food in your backyard in only a few hours per week. So Alan started working on planting out the rest of the pineapple guava hedge. We planted these about 6 feet apart since we were expecting them to get pretty large, and eventually we plan on keeping them trimmed back to maintain a nice separation between the garden and the house. I got started working on the paver pathway that leads into the greenhouse before planting anything out. I really wanted just a cute little path between the greenhouse landscaping, and I actually saw this idea on Pinterest. We had these leftover pavers from when we did some of the guilds in the food forest, and I think it just gives a little bit more charm to the greenhouse space.
Alright, so I ended up taking a little bit of a break yesterday after I finished the path because it was about 95 degrees outside and the heat was really starting to get to me. And then I also realized that the camera had died. So let me show you what we finished. I actually managed to finish the path and put some sand over it. It looks really nice. And then I'll show you what we're planting. So, as you can see, I have my brick pavers and I have all the sand around it to keep it in place, and then also above it, or on top of it. Right, so all of that is just sand, and every time I kind of walk on this, I just fill in some of the cracks with the sand. It was a little bit wet, the sand. It's been in this like bag that I got from Home Depot, and it's just, I don't know, it's so wet. So I've been letting it dry and then fill in the cracks more. Of course, you could just, do this a little bit faster with a broom or something, but I've just been doing it as I come out here. Overall, I really like the way it looks. Of course, when I sweep it off, it'll look, much cleaner, but I did not make it perfectly level for 2 reasons. One, it was a ton of work to just even get this area as level as it is now, and 2, because I actually really like the look of like old cobblestone, and this is like, it has a little bit of like a raised texture here and a little bit sunken, so I understand it's not completely even, but that's fine because I do like that like old world charm in the garden. Alright, and then we have our plants out here that are ready to go. These have been kind of like in this little purgatory area for a little bit now. You can see with the heat, some of them are getting a little bit of like this burnt crispiness texture, and I do have a sprinkler that comes out here, or that like reaches this area, and then this needs to be definitely cut. Like all of this grass is just completely overgrown, but just to give you kind of like the layout, there is my greenhouse. That big structure is actually the neighbor's property, and I don't know if you can see those like little posts over here every couple inches, and the fence over there, that's actually our fence line. All right, so where I'm standing here underneath this arch, all right, which is the start of the garden, over that way is my food forest, which I've done a whole bunch of tours of the food forest on my channel, and then that way back there is our barn, all the way past like right before that next house, all right, which is at our property line. There's the well, and so this area, this whole area, about 3,700 square feet, is going to be our garden. And I have a little bench underneath that beautiful pine tree there, which I will be a later project, but I will end up doing like a little seating area there so I can just sit and admire all of these beautiful flowers. So starting here, you can see how long these have actually been sitting here because the grass is growing through them, but here we have gold mount skyflower. I really like the way that this green is like such a bright green. I think it's going to add a lot of really pretty contrast. So I have 2 of those, 1 and 2. Those are going to be in front. Actually, most of this is going to be right in front of the greenhouse and kind of like around. And then I have some salvia here. These are absolutely beautiful. Of course, you can see they are a little bit burnt from sitting out in the sun, and probably not getting as much irrigation as they should be getting. But this is, here we go, Sally Fun Deep Ocean Salvia. All right, got these all at Lowe's. So I have 2 of those, and then I have a whole bunch of these little pentas, right? So we got some really pretty pink ones, all of these little seeds that are actually spent already. You can see just how many pine trees we have. There's pine needles everywhere. So I think there's actually 6, yeah, 6 of these pink pentas. This is actually, I think this is, this is lantana. I think this is gonna actually go in the food forest because I actually picked these up and they're starting to root themselves into the ground actually. But I picked these up at Lowe's on sale. So I think I spent like maybe $6 on all of them. The same with these ones. Oh, definitely starting to root themselves in here. And then I have a passion fruit that is going to go on my trellis, which is not yet assembled, but essentially it's going where that that tire is that's laying flat. My trellis arch thing for the food forest, that is going up there, which I think is going to be the perfect entrance to the food forest, and beautiful flowers. So that is going to do, I think, amazingly. And then I have 2 roses. All right, so let me see here. This rose, I don't know if you can, these things have thorns. All right, so this one, it's kind of hidden here, but it's Violet's Pride. So this is a beautiful lavender colored rose. Definitely some thorns on this, oops. And so this, I was originally planning on putting it on the left side of the greenhouse, like right in front of that little panel there, but I don't know if there's enough space for it because this I think is going to grow about 3 or 4 feet all around. So we'll see if I have space, because I still do want to make room for all of these ones that I got at Lowe's. And then this one here, I'm not even gonna attempt to touch it because the number of thorns on this is absolutely insane. But I have a polka rose. So this is a beautiful like peach colored rose, and this is actually going to be planted over there, right? So on this side of the arch. So when you're coming into the garden, there will be beautiful climbing roses all the way up this arch, using it as a trellis. And then I think it'll probably get to about there or so, as far as I could see on the website. And then this is a gardenia tree. So this gardenia tree actually has a really cute story. It's completely full of buds, or has some buds, I should say. It has been completely full of buds in the last couple of months, after having sat in a pot for quite a while. But this is actually the tree that we planted at our wedding, right? So you know the wedding ceremony where, you know, one person takes a little cup of water and pours it in the tree, and the other person does the same thing to symbolize unity. So we did that with Alan's 2 girls, my stepdaughters now, and Alan and myself. We all did that, and now it's planted at the beginning, at the entrance to our garden right in front of our house. And then we have a few more things to plant around the greenhouse, which are actually these snake plants. So don't mind the weeds growing up through the mulch, but we had a whole bunch of snake plants that was part of a project that I did while we were waiting for the construction of this house. This is originally all of these like dark green snake plants was all one snake plant, and I just kept separating them, and now there's more popping up, even where I didn't originally plant them. So definitely tons of snake plants. But then somebody was actually giving these snake plants away for free, and you can tell, right, those ones are very different variety than these ones, and I do like them. I'm not a huge fan of yellow in the garden, so I think, right, they are doing super well, but I think these are not going to be in front of the house, which is where we originally were going to put them. We have some there, and then we have some on the other side as well. So total, I think I have maybe 5 or 6 of these planters. So I think these are going to go on the sides of the greenhouse, or maybe even 1 or 2 in front of the greenhouse, but definitely, you know, that will give a good color, and it won't be right in front of the house. And then we have this one little plant over here, not little, this one massive vining plant over here, which is our muscadine vine. All right, so if you can see, it's quite a mess because they had to like pull it out from all the other muscadine vines growing in the nursery. But this is a bronze muscadine. You can grab it over here. And muscadines are actually native to this area in Florida where I am. I have muscadines growing everywhere. There's actually, I don't know if you can see it, there's muscadines growing up some of the trees and all over the floor, and we're forever trying to get rid of muscadines, but those are actually not productive. These are female, so they will produce fruit, and they're gonna go on my last arch, which is where this little empty space is, right? So Alan came in earlier actually, and that was one of the other projects, but I was holding Emmy and Alan took the liberty of coming out here, doing me the favor and planting out all of these feijoa hedges. All right, this is pineapple guava, but an entire hedge of it. Actually getting wet by the sprinkler, so I'm gonna back away. But here in this little opening in front of the well is gonna go our last arch, for two reasons. One of which, we didn't want to plant anything here because there is a line coming out of the arch, or coming out of the well and coming into the house over here. So we didn't want to like risk messing that up or even digging anywhere close to it. So we're leaving that space open, but then also because we need access to the well, and eventually I'm gonna try to close off my garden into like this triangle from the bench over there over to this tree, and that will be like the well area, and we'll do some like really pretty landscaping. And so we need some access to the well, and then I'll cover the well with like some really pretty latticing or something like that. But these over here, I'm gonna get out of the sprinklers. You can actually see it has some new growth. We planted a whole bunch of these when we started this project, and then Alan came over. The ones that are being watered in are actually the ones that he planted out today. But even the ones that we planted, I think it was like a month ago, they have tons of new growth now, even in that short amount of time. So I'm really happy with these. And eventually this is going to be like the hedge that separates the garden from like this area next to the house. And then hopefully the grass will grow in like it has on the other side of the house. So that is our beautiful feijoa hedge. Hopefully we'll get some fruit out of it at some point in time also. And it actually looks really nice. I'll try to show you guys when you are standing over here, like we're coming into the house, there is a little hedge, and then of course some other stuff like buckets and whatever, or planters, but that's going to be a nice hedge, and we'll keep it at around 6 or 7 feet. Okay, so I laid out everything to where I think I'm actually going to keep it. It looks pretty good to me. I'll start with this side. We have those snake plants over here. Originally I was going to separate them because there are quite a few in here. I might still, but I'm going to separate them when I take them out of the container to plant them, and I'll probably just scatter them a little bit wider, but still all in the same area, as opposed to like using them on the side here, because we do have a lot of this palmetto. So I think those are going to stay there. I have this, I forget what this is called, this sky flower, gold mound sky flower. So that I think is a really pretty contrast. This is the muscadine that doesn't actually produce anything, so I will rip some of this out. It's really hard to get out, but ultimately if it's, you know, there as ground cover, that's fine. And then I have my salvia over here, and then some pentas here filling in. I have 2 on this side, right, to create like this high to low effect. This will get a little bit taller, so hopefully about here, maybe around 3 feet or so. And then on the other side of the walkway, I have the same thing, kind of the same design here with the sky flower. And then my salvia, I have 4 pentas on this side, so they go in this kind of like S shape over here. And I did move the rocks a little bit instead of having them right on top of the spigot. And by the way, I just finished the spigot, so if you want to check out my spigot upgrade, this was just like a stick with a water spigot on it. So that I thought came out really nice. I'll link that in the video description as well, so you can go check out how we did that, or how I did that, because Alan was inside holding Emmy, so that one was all me. And then we have so we have the pentas there kind of in towards that spigot. I'll take the rocks and kind of just put them like more around instead of off to the side. And then I have my snake plants back there. I have 1, 2, 3, and then this is actually a little landing pad for my fertilizer bin. So this is my Jadam liquid fertilizer bin that needs to be dumped out onto the bananas. into the guava area. So once I dump that, then it'll come back here. It lives on this little pad. So eventually over time this will go filling in, and we do have a lot of these ferns that come up as perennials as well, so that will fill in over some time. And then lastly, I had forgotten, I took out some lemon thyme from one of my guilds that I have tons of lemon thyme growing, or I think it maybe came out by accident or whatever, and so I put it in here, and it just kind of been living in this little area, so I figured it would be like a nice little ground cover. It does not get very tall, so it's gonna just kind of like spread out in this front little area, and I love lemon thyme, so definitely as a reminder to use it instead of just having it tucked away in the food forest. So that is the plan. Alright, so I just finished planting out everything around the greenhouse. I did have to tweak just a little bit because if you saw me like pounding into the ground with the shovel and with the hand trowel, there are quite a few saw palmetto roots and like all the pine tree roots and stuff, and they're just like insane to get out, and I had to I ended up having to cut some out of wherever it was that I really needed to plant something, but other than that I did tweak just a little bit, and I think it looks really good. Let me show you. Alright, so we have our snake plant, our snake plant over there. We have our, I keep forgetting what this is called, I think it's sky flower or something. Pentas here in the front, those two little pink ones, and then our salvia right here. It's a little bit closer to the walkway than I would have preferred, however, maybe I'll just, you know, end up trimming it a little bit that way and kind of training it, just because there were a lot of roots there. And then the same thing, I kind of mirrored the design on this side, but instead of doing this S that I was going to do, I ended up doing one penta here, one there, one behind the rocks, and then right here in between the rocks and the spigot. And then I have my little lemon thyme here, which I kind of tucked away into that corner. Alright, so the rest is going to actually need to wait because it just started lightning and thundering, and I'm feeling some raindrops, so I'm going to turn off the camera and pick it up again tomorrow. So we have our garden arches in place. This one here in front of the well, as you can see, we've left the well open with those bushes. We have our little drip line there going straight across, but then this is our garden arch. So if I stand directly in front of it, we still have nice access to the well, and this water line comes like down right in front of me, so we're not digging through that at all. Now I will at a later point in time make this much prettier. I'll cover the garden arch, put some lattices around it, and it'll look, you know, much nicer, and some landscaping in this little area here from that tree across to the bench in the background over there, next to the pine tree, and then over here to our last bush. Alright, so that'll create like this little triangular kind of space that's all landscaped and pretty, which isn't really like going to be a vegetable growing area at all. But then over here on the other side of the garden, I'm trying to avoid some of this really tall grass and all of these piles of water. We got a huge storm here earlier today. It was just lightning and thundering and just complete downpour. But we have the other garden arch. I will be removing that tire from there, actually both of those tires. And so this one is a little bit different because we have these two pine trees, right? That's kind of like the border of the food forest, the corner, and then this is somewhat of like the framing of the entrance of the food forest. But then we have this other pine tree back here in front of the greenhouse, right? This mound of stuff in here that you can see seriously needs to be weeded, but this is actually one of our guilds, right? So you can see like the papers in here once I go through and actually weed everything and edge everything. That's one of the guilds. So the guild is going to stick out further than the entrance to the food forest, because if not, I would have had to angle this going this way towards that tree. This tree here is about maybe 5 feet south of where this one is, and I didn't want to have to angle it. I think that would be funny, so I just cut it straight across, and then it bumps up with where this guild starts. So this guild is kind of like in a banana shape, and that's the edge of the guild here, and then this is the arch. I also turned in these footings things here, and so I can plant stuff here without without worrying that it's going to grow through this and then have issues with that later on if I ever want to like move the arch anywhere. So I just turn these things inward on all of the arches. And then the passion fruit is going to go on this arch, simply because I feel like the passion fruit will probably need a little bit more care than my muscadine grapes. We have muscadine grapes literally growing everywhere. I mean, all of this is muscadine grapevine. These are the non-fertile ones, non-productive ones, but they grow everywhere. And so I don't think that the muscadine grapes are going to require any special care from me. So I'm going to put them outside of the food growing area, and then the passion fruit will stay here on the entrance, or really the border between what this is, the garden, well, soon to be garden, eventually will be garden, and then the food forest that way. So I am done planting everything out. The water is on. I set up the drip lines, which I'll show you guys now. But yeah, the camera battery died on me more than once, and I am drenched in sweat because it is like, no lie, about 95, 96 degrees out here last time I checked, and it's gotten hotter since then. All right, so here is the greenhouse. I connected this blue drip tape. Ideally it wouldn't be blue, but that's the best deal I got off of Amazon. I will leave the link to this below. It's actually not drip tape. It is not a soaker hose, but it is a soaker tape type thing. It's completely flat, right? And so the green stripe here is what like releases the water, so you can put it up to like water your plants overhead, or not really overhead, but like a sprinkler type thing. It only gets, I think, like 3 or 4 feet off the ground. And then I've actually turned it upside down. You can see I've actually buried it for most of the front part of the greenhouse. And so if you turn it upside down, it acts like a drip tape. So I have in here my salvia, my pentas, and then I have that, I think it's what, sky flower, something like that. I have it at the beginning of the video. Same thing on the other side with the snake plants. And then on this part, oops, there's a dip there. You can see where I stopped burying it. I ran out of compost, but over time pine needles will fall, and like you can't really see this part of the greenhouse from the house, so I'm not super concerned. I actually planted out some lantana, right? I got these on sale at the beginning of the summer, or actually at the beginning of the month of July, and so I have 6 of those going all the way across, and I alternated it with my salvia. So these ones are salvia, then lantana, then salvia, all the way on this like L shape on the other side of the greenhouse. All right, with the drip tape, because I figured if I'm gonna have drip tape there, might as well plant something out. It goes all the way. My Jadam liquid fertilizer is going to go here once I empty it. I can't move it right now. It's very heavy. So it lives here. And then I ended up moving my snake plants because I forgot I have to actually put my water hose here. So this is the water hose that actually connects to currently the food forest. The line goes out there to the food forest. But this is the one that's going to be like my hand watering for the greenhouse, right? For all my, my little starts and that sort of thing. Right now I have it connected via this black line going to the sprinkler in the food forest, and that works out fine. But ultimately I have everything on a timer, and then we did put a splitter on the spigot. So that one, this here, will go connected to that eventually, so that I can run it if I need to. Like, I'll coil it back up, and then I can run it into the greenhouse as a hand watering if need be. And then what I have here, you can see I have the drip tape connected. The drip tape will eventually be connected to the garden watering, so that will be on one. This will still be the line for the food forest, and then the third line I think will go probably towards another zone of the food forest, or maybe out towards the fence or something if it's, you know, on a different line. Eventually I plan on planting out like vines, so you can't really just see through the fence to the neighbor's property. But then we have, let's see here, I ended up planting my second rose bush. So this is not my climbing rose like I did on the arch. This is my violet purple, I think it's called, roses from Heirloom Roses. They're like a beautiful lavender color. They're tiny right now. They're only like a foot, but when I got them, they were just little sticks. And you can see exactly how much they have leafed out since then. I mean, I've only had them for a few weeks. And so I expect that now that they're in the ground, there will be a lot more growth on them soon. So that I planted here. I was thinking about planting it there next to the arch, but if the passion fruit vine covers the entire arch, then it will run into that space. If I need to plant something out in that space, I'll probably plant out rosemary that I can trim back really heavily. But then also that is the edge of the guild. Once Alan weed whacks and mows, that's the edge of the guild. And if I need to actually come in here and do work in the guild, this has thorns. And so I don't want to be like scraping myself. So I put it here, which let me back up so you can see I'm about 20 feet from the roses right now in that little black spot. And so that's the arch. That's that tree that I originally said was, I think, like 10 feet, maybe no, like 5 feet in front of the other tree. And so then this area here hopefully will create like a very nice entrance, right? So I'm envisioning it's going to be like a little entrance leading up to the arch, and then I can eventually plant out things along this row behind the blackberries once I weed and mow and all the stuff that needs to be done there. There is my passion fruit vine. And so I'm envisioning it being like a very beautiful suede kind of thing going on leading up to the arch. So this passion fruit, you can see I've tried to like trellis it a little bit, just hanging it on, and then if I move it like into the arch, I think it'll start growing up with no problem. My roses in here, this is the, I forgot the name of it. Oh, my polka rose. So this is the one with like 1,000 thorns, which probably wasn't the best idea for an arch, but in my defense, I read every single one of those reviews and I did not see anything that said it has that many thorns. So yeah, hopefully people won't just like scrape themselves nonstop when they come into the garden, but I'm expecting it to look absolutely gorgeous. It is like an apricot colored rose. So that is my my rose trellis. I did plant out the last Bajoa. And then all the way down the line here, I am very excited about my muscadine vine. My muscadine vine, it was actually twirled across, inside the planters, twirled across itself. So when I untangled everything, this is already about 5.5 feet up here. All right, I managed to like kind of wrap it a little bit, and I just took like the green tape it came with and tied it on, and eventually I'll remove that. But it is pretty large already, and these grow like freaking weeds out here to begin with. It's literally everywhere, but this is the name variety, which hopefully I will be getting fruit from very soon. And then it will make its way, no doubt, across the entire arch and then continue on with the line of Bajoa. All right, so I am headed inside to the nice cold AC. That is everything that I wanted to get done. It did take a couple of days just because it thunderstormed, it was lightning a lot that first day, or the second day, I can't remember now. It poured rain, and then it was again back to like 90, 95, 96, something like that degrees outside. Thank you guys for sticking to the end. If you watched the entire video, I am so excited by how many other projects we have. A little bit overwhelming, but definitely I cannot wait to see this space take shape over the next couple of months and next couple of years, constantly evolving. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like if you like this video, especially if you watched all the way to the end this far. And of course, if you want to see exactly how we did our garden spigot, check out this video right here. See you guys in the next one. Bye.